Have you ever wondered what happens when your entire world gets flipped upside down in just 3 seconds? When I tell people I started a YouTube channel called Classic Car Catastrophes, they usually think it's about vintage automobiles breaking down or restoration fails. But here's the thing that might surprise you. It's not really about cars at all. It's about catastrophe. It's about that moment when everything you thought you knew about yourself gets completely shattered, and you're left picking up pieces you didn't even know existed. Back in 2022, I had what most people would call a car accident. But calling it just an accident feels like calling a hurricane just some wind. One moment I'm driving down a road I've traveled 1,000 times, probably thinking about what to have for dinner or some random YouTube video I watched that morning. The next moment, everything changed. Not just for that day, not just for that week, but permanently, forever. In ways I'm still discovering even now. You know what's funny about trauma? Nobody really prepares you for how ordinary it makes everything else feel. People expect you to bounce back, to return to normal, to be the person you were before. But what if that person doesn't exist anymore? What if you wake up every morning feeling like you're wearing someone else's skin, living someone else's life, but you're stuck inside this new version of yourself that you never asked for? That's where Classic Car Catastrophes comes from. Not from a love of automobiles, though I do appreciate a good vintage ride. It comes from understanding that sometimes we all become classics in our own right, not because we're pristine or perfectly restored, but because we carry the weight of our stories, the dents and scratches that make us unique, the parts that have been replaced or repaired but never quite work the same way again. I chose to be faceless on this channel because honestly, showing my face feels like too much sometimes. There's something liberating about being a stick figure, about stripping away all the physical expectations, and just being a voice, a presence, a relatable cartoon navigating through this weird existence we call life. When you're dealing with the aftermath of something that fundamentally changed you, sometimes the last thing you want is for people to look at you and try to see the damage, or worse, try to see the person you used to be. Being a stick figure means I can be purely authentic without the weight of physical appearance, without people making assumptions based on how I look, or trying to read my facial expressions for signs of the struggle I'm carrying. It's just me, my thoughts, and whoever's listening. No pretense, no performance, just honest conversation about what it's like to exist in this space between who I was and who I'm becoming. Every single day brings its own set of challenges that I never saw coming. Simple things that used to be automatic now require conscious thought and effort. Driving, obviously, but also things like making decisions, trusting my own judgment, sleeping through the night without my brain replaying scenarios I can't control. It's like learning to be human all over again, except nobody gives you an instruction manual for this particular model. Some mornings I wake up feeling like I'm trapped in someone else's nightmare, except it's my actual life. Other days, I catch glimpses of something that feels almost like peace, like maybe I'm slowly figuring out how to exist in this new normal. The thing about catastrophic change is that it doesn't follow a timeline. There's no neat progression from broken to fixed. It's more like waves. Sometimes you're riding high, feeling like you've got it figured out, and sometimes you're drowning in 3 inches of water because something as simple as a car commercial triggered a memory you thought you'd processed. What I've learned is that healing isn't about returning to who you were before. That person is gone, and grieving them is part of the process. Healing is about building something new with the pieces you have left, even when some of those pieces are sharp and some are missing entirely. It's about finding ways to honor both who you were and who you're becoming, without getting stuck in either place. The beautiful thing about sharing these experiences is realizing how many people are carrying their own invisible catastrophes. Everyone's walking around with their own version of 2022, their own moment when everything shifted. Maybe it wasn't a car accident. Maybe it was a diagnosis, a loss, a betrayal, a failure, or just the slow realization that the life they thought they were building wasn't actually theirs. Whatever it was, there's something powerful about acknowledging that we're all just trying to figure it out as we go. That's what I want these videos to be. A space where it's okay to not have it all figured out, where it's okay to admit that some days are harder than others, where we can talk about the real stuff that happens between the highlight reels everyone else is posting. I want to create something that feels like sitting with a friend who gets it, who won't try to fix you or rush your process, but will just sit with you in whatever you're experiencing. Being a relatable cartoon means I can represent all of us who feel like we're just stick figures trying to navigate a complex world with simple tools. Sometimes that's exactly what we need, to strip away the complications and just be honest about the basic human experience of trying to survive, to grow, to find meaning in the middle of chaos. So that's what Classic Car Catastrophes really is. It's not about vintage vehicles or mechanical failures. It's about the human experience of breakdown and the slow, imperfect process of rebuilding. It's about finding community and shared struggle and discovering that sometimes the most broken things become the most beautiful, not in spite of their damage, but because of how they've learned to carry it. Every video I make is me trying to make sense of this existence, sharing what I'm learning along the way, hoping that maybe someone else out there needs to hear that they're not alone in feeling like they're making it up as they go. Because honestly, I think we all are. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be.